All right, and we have a showcase winner today, and I think an all-star with the Brilliant Directories community and platform altogether. Esther, you are our showcase winner. Let me unmute your microphone here. All right, you with us, Esther? How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. Thank you for joining with us and allowing us to showcase your website today.
Oh, thank you.
Now, I know just in things that you've mentioned in the Facebook group, this was an existing community that you had, correct? And um, and you migrated to the Brilliant Directories platform?
Yeah, so I started with my company actually 10 years ago, and it was kind of like a hobby that grew into a business. And I've gone through a lot of different website platforms. Um, and just recently I switched to Brilliant Directories. And so far it's like way better than what I had most recently, which cost me like 3 times as much.
Awesome. That's great. Well, the site looks nice and clean. You're serving the St. Petersburg, Florida area?
Yes.
Got you. And you're doing something unique. You're not just listing all businesses. You're listing like mom and pop and small businesses, like not corporate businesses on the site. Is that right?
Right. So they all need to be based in the St. Petersburg area.
Gotcha. What inspired this idea for you to have a focus of that on your site?
Um, well, I started because I just like personally, I like shopping at local businesses because I used to live in Fort Lauderdale, and when I first moved there were like a ton of little local businesses. And by the time I left, it had changed so much. It was all like all the chain stores, and the whole vibe was very different. So when I moved to St. Pete, I loved that it still had the mom and pop vibe. And at the time, I was working at a local newspaper, and when my parents would visit me, and I was at work, they would always just go to the mall. So I would get home, and I'm like, "Hey, what'd you guys do?" And they're like, "Oh, we went to the mall," because they're like, "We don't know where the cool local shops are. So they just go
Right.
where it's easy." So they went. So
Gotcha.
I started making a list on a piece of paper, and then I put the list on Facebook, and when Facebook was first getting started, and it just all kind of grew from there. Like when I started, I wasn't thinking of building anything. It just kind of happened.
And do you have a relationship with some of the businesses that are part of your website? Like, do you know them by first name
Yeah,
basis and things like
yeah,
that?
yeah, 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 yeah. Most of them I know them pretty well. We have monthly networking meetings. We do a lot of events. We have big festivals that we do. So it's not like a. My goal is not to have like 20 billion members. It's to have a close community. But then I want to have it. That's why I added the free listings I didn't have before. Because I want the directory to have make it easy for consumers to find whatever they need. But as far as my paid members, I would rather have fewer who are more active and participate in more of our things.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Does that make sense?
yeah, it totally makes it. Just being on this website, I feel like I'm already part of the St. Petersburg community. You see smiley faces, you see crafty images, and things like that. What would you say was one of the biggest hurdles when first registering new businesses in this directory?
You mean on the Brilliant Direct?
No,
Well, so I
well,
imported
since you started, like
in general.
when you had to pitch businesses to join your directory list or whatever list you were creating, was it very straightforward, or did you have
Yeah.
to, were they scratching their heads?
No, so because when I started, like I wasn't really thinking business, and I had like another job, so I wasn't really concerned about money or anything. So it was more just kind of being out there talking to people, and then other businesses would refer each other. So it really grew very organically. Like we didn't have
That's
like
awesome.
really sales pitches or anything. And
So,
we started doing a lot of events. Like we participated in a lot of events, like other people's events, like community festivals, and we also organized a lot of ours.
that's
So a
fantastic.
lot of times people would join because they want to be a part of our events. They want to be a vendor at like one of our events.
That's fantastic. So based on what you're saying is when you first started out, you were just asking people if they wanted to participate for free. Is that right? If they just, or were you charging
Yeah,
from
when I
the
first
start?
yeah. No, in the very beginning it was free, and then I added paid options, and
Gotcha.
then I took away the free because the problem I was having is that a lot of that was during the recession here, and a lot of businesses were going out of business. So a lot of my free listings were outdated. You know,
Right, right,
because they
right.
wouldn't, they closed. They don't think, oh, I'm gonna go, close my accounts. So I decided to stop offering free listings. But now now I have the resources that I can, hire somebody to like follow up with all the free people, like maybe every 6 months,
Hmm.
to make sure they're still in business. So now I'm adding free listings again.
Yeah, I think like I get the feel that your site is established. I like that you're using free options around your site. And normally, my recommendation when a site is first starting out is to limit how many membership levels they have. But in your case, because I even
Mm-hmm.
feel that it's established, I can actually, and it's very clearly written some of the benefits here. And it's not just like, it's things that actually matter to a business. So I think although you have 4 membership levels, it's the price points are nice, and you've laid out everything really well. And I actually feel comfortable browsing this page and taking my time to decide which one I want to choose. So I want to commend you on that with this nice pricing page here.
Oh, thank you.
I had one technical recommendation for you that I wanted to give you a helping hand with, and I think it's good advice for everyone here that's listening today. I did a quick speed check on your homepage, and I noticed that the page size is 18 megabytes. So there's 18 megabytes of data that needs to download before the page is completed rendering. Normally, a good page size would be 1 to 3 megabytes, including all the images. And the images are the ones that take up the most space. Um, so if I wanted to maybe just update 1 or 2 of your images and show you how you can optimize it, I think that would be good for everyone here as well. So you want to help make sure the page size lower, and the main value is not really your desktop at-home computer users, but people who are on their mobile phones. Um, and also Google is giving more value to websites that load quicker and that are more mobile friendly as well. And that includes the size of the images and things like that. So can I show you a couple
Oh, sure.
recommendations that I would have for that?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, great. So I noticed that you're using the category uh, images here. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so if we go to member categories, and these are the images here. You have 6 of them. So let's just see what sizes are actually rendering here. Let's look at the view image info. So we're actually loading an image. The image is 3,000 pixels wide, but it's being resized about 10% of that to 360. So it says this 3 megabytes just for this image. So what I'm going to do is actually
Oh, wow.
download this image and make it the size that is being rendered on the page, which is 360 pixels. Let's just
Okay.
download. I'm just going to copy this image. And I opened up Photoshop beforehand. If you guys don't have Photoshop, I'm just a little finicky here. Okay, copy image. Okay, so big image here, and I'm going to change the image size to 360 pixels. And so this is basically what's being loaded there. I see that you added white space to account for the toggle here, but
Yeah.
I don't. The image gets stretched to fit the area, so I'm just gonna get rid of that area
Oh, okay.
of the image. It should still have the same effect. So let me just crop this one image and let me save it. And generally, there's different photo qualities. If you're using Photoshop, or there's tons of free tools to crop images and things like that. You really don't need the maximum level. Your eyes can't see the difference. It just takes up more. But very high, or about 80% quality is good enough when you're rendering things on mobile phones and desktops. So let me just save this image here. And let's see what you called this image. Arts and crafts. Let's call it the same thing. And we'll save that image. Now here's where I want to do something interesting. I found this image optimizer tool that can actually, I'm going to share the link here. You can upload an image here and it will actually compress it even further. Now, for those of you that want to nerd out and try to minimize the size of your images on your homepage, you might want to use this tool. I'm just going to share this link here in the chat. I don't think it's necessary if you're already saving your image at a normal quality, like 80% or 70%. But if you wanted to nerd out a bit, you could do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm still going to choose the highest file size here. This is a JPEG, and I'm just going to choose the artist folder here, and it's going to optimize that image for me. And let's just give that a second, and that's done now. So that one took, that was 61 before, it made it down to 51. So let's save that. So what I want to do now is actually change this photo here. And then I just want to do one more photo on your site, Esther. It's the background photo, the super wide one, this one. And
Okay.
because that one is actually the biggest image on your entire homepage. So let me upload this image here. And we'll go back. And we'll select this image here. And we'll save the changes. Okay, great. And let me just do this last image here. View background image. So this is the image that's on your home page. If we zoom in, it's a pretty huge image. No one's going to really need the image to be this large. So let me download this image. And I'll open it with Photoshop, and I'll do something similar. For a wide image like this, you really just need it to be about 2,000 pixels wide. So let's see what it is right now. It's about 7,500. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, we want to keep the height. The height is fine on that. I'm going to make it 2,000. And just going to shrink it down a bit, and then I'm going to fit it. Oh, excuse me, I did the wrong thing. I take everything back. Let me minimize this. What I want to do is change the canvas size, excuse me. Okay, great. Let me just see one thing here. I'll make sure it still looks good on your site. Okay. Sorry to be so finicky with this. Just want to make sure we do a good job for you.
Thanks.
I'm going to increase it just a little bit. It's such a wide image, and I want to get some of the important parts of it. Normally, I would go like 2,000 by 800, something like that. But I'll keep it like this. No, I'm still not getting what I want here. I want to get some of these trees here for you. Okay, I'm going to go against my better judgment. I just want to shrink down the image a bit, and we'll go ahead and save that. Actually, going to do this. The height I'm going to bring down to 700. There we go. All right.
So, like, how do we know what size to save everything as?
So with a background image like this, it's a little bit of trial and error because you see the image is getting cut off a bit to fit the screen. Mm-hmm. For these images, it's pretty straightforward. If you just right-click on an image and click on View Image Info, it'll tell you if it's being scaled down. So now we can see that this one is not being scaled down. It's the actual dimensions. Let's look at the other one here. This one's being scaled down from 3,000 down to 360. And also another thing, when you're scaling your images up or down, they might have a tendency to become blurry. So when you put the exact size that it should be, you're reducing the chance of having blurry images, whether they're being stretched or shrunken down.
But they should all be the 360 by 288.
For these ones, yeah. So I'll leave those ones up to you. And then I just want to
Okay.
change this background image, and let me use the image optimizer again for this new background image. And then we'll add it to your site. I'll go to your design settings. And what I want to do is run the pingdom test again and see how much the page size has gone down. Okay, and we'll save the changes. Like the cropping I was doing, it's a little trial and error on yours, and it's going to be different on different screens. But generally 2000 is a good width for your background homepage image. So let's go to Pingdom now, and let's run this test again. Let's open this in a new tab, and I'll just start a new test. This should just take a moment. And this is really important because if you're uploading images to your site and they have really large file sizes, it's going to take a long time to load on mobile devices. So we've cut down your page size by about 30%. Just by updating those two images. It went from 18 to 12. That's why I wanted to do that background image, because I knew it was one of the larger images on your site. 12 megabytes. And let's actually look at what the image looks like. Let me refresh the page. So this is with the new image, and this is with the old image. So what you could do is you could play around with it. Maybe you want to cut the tree off more here and show more of the left side. But you can play with it, and you could figure out the right positioning for the bikers and things like that. But basically, all you need to do is crop it a certain way. But that's gonna help your search engine rankings and provide a better and you're gonna get better experience from your users visiting the site.
So what about like when our users add photos?
So our system. So that's a good question. So like when people are publishing events, our system automatically optimizes it. So these images are. This is just see that it's not showing that it's being scaled down. It's the correct image size, and it's 42 kilobytes. So a good rule of thumb is you want to try to get images as low as possible, but definitely you want your images under 100 kilobytes, not megabytes, kilobytes. Even your larger images. So here are some images you're using here. This one's being scaled to fit the slider, but not actually. It looks like it's using the thumbnail version of your site. So you want to make sure you're uploading images that are at least 764 by 400, the ones that are using in the slider here. So these are being stretched to fill the space, although they're smaller. So you want to make sure you're uploading this image size here, 764 by 400. For the slider images here, and I think when you're adding images to the slider, we do recommend that as the image size when you're creating a new featured article post here.
Okay.
Pat, do you have any final feedback or anything for Esther?
I think that when you say it's good for SEO, it's because Google, one of the things that they care about the most is how fast your site loads. Because if they send somebody to your website, they want it to load in 2 seconds or less, ideally. They're very, very picky because they're all about delivering the best user experience on Google. So if they see that your homepage is 18 megabytes and it's taking 4 seconds to load and it's your homepage, you kind of get a lot of negative points. And when somebody does a Google search, even though you would normally be ranking for organic because your SEO is good, your content's good, your website's good, the amount of users is good, but if your website's loading too slow because the images are too large, that can start hurting those organic results because Google's not going to want to publish your site as one of the top results. So there's a lot of benefits, especially because your site is matured. You have a lot of users, you have a lot of great content. The type of optimization that Jason's doing now is the type of optimization you should be focusing on, which is just doing slight improvements to improve those overall scores.
Okay. And what did you say, like optimal loading time is?
The SEO optimization?
For loading time, like what is considered good?
It's under 3.
Well,
go ahead, Pat.
Yeah, under 3. Yeah, it could be between 2 and 3 depending on how much content is on there. Anything under 2 is phenomenal. Right now, Pingdom has yet 2, which is pretty good. And I'm assuming if you keep reducing the rest of those images, you're going to be under 2, which should be lightning fast.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll definitely do that.
All right, Esther. Well, thank you for sharing your site with us. I just did one small change here. I centered the bikers here, so they shouldn't be covered by the text. There you go.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that looks nice.
So that looks really nice. You still got all the palm trees. Everyone wants to visit St. Petersburg, Florida now. If you're looking for places to shop, you know where to go now, guys.
Thank you.
Great work, Esther.
And thanks to Patrick for all the work you've done on my site.
Hey, my pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right, good stuff there from Esther. It's great to see an established organization. In her case, she migrated her site from several other platforms and finally landed on Brilliant Directories. It looks like it's working well for her. Hope she sticks around with us for a while. And to be honest, guys, she's kept it very simple. You know, a lot of people, and I want to mention this, they go for our all-in-one directory theme, which is basically our demo showing you all the different types of content you can post. But it's a catch-22. When you add coupons, jobs, all the galleries, photos, videos, audios, property listings, you're tripling, quadrupling the amount of work you need to do to fill those different areas of your site. What's really nice, if you want to choose 2, 3, or 4 features to have on your site, in her case, she has the local businesses, events, and news. Of as far as content that you can search, and there's some more stuff, but that's what's being highlighted and featured here. And she's able to add a lot of high value to those areas of her site rather than spreading herself thin and having to fill content in all sorts of different places of her site. So again, I want to commend you on the way you've structured the navigation of your site, you're offering to your members, and also the value you're bringing to your community. So I applaud you, Esther. Very good job on this.
Also, I'll add one more little detail. Another thing that I really love, and this is good advice for anybody that's starting their first online business. So let's say you're getting out there and you're saying, I'd like to run a directory. I'm going to give it a shot. I'd like to have, just like Esther, it started small and it turned into a business, which is what a lot of us are hoping we can do with our online directory. And what she did is she started local, right? She's in the local area. She got to know the local business owners. And a lot of people get started, they want a national directory or they want an international directory. And it's definitely possible, but if you're doing it on the side, part-time, and you want to be a global or a national directory, it's a more challenging task. It can be done, but it's definitely going to be an uphill battle if you have limited resources and it's your first time trying it out. I love taking the local approach, getting your feet wet, talking to business owners, doing live demos, getting feedback, and growing a small community, succeeding at that. And I've seen some people franchise it out. So basically they get people to run different local directories. And I've had people actually just launch a second directory and a third directory and manage those directories. But experiencing a success out of the gates by going small and focusing on your locality is definitely a fantastic approach for those of us that are starting out for the first time.
I think that's sound advice, and we covered that a lot in last webinar with when David was on with me there. So good themes that are recurring and resonating with looking at these directory websites.